I often get asked to speak on motivation and success, but I don't usually advise everyone to start their own businesses. Not everyone is an entrepreneur, and I feel it's wrong to tell people they can be successful when in reality it may not be the right path for them. I understand that this isn't the most popular opinion, but it's important to be honest with people and realistic in your expectations. But I have to be honest, I don't ever want to give the wrong advice if I can possibly help it. About a year ago at one of my speeches, I realized this when a man in his 60 seconds came up to me and asked me some direct questions about becoming an entrepreneur. I had to tell him that it's not always the best thing to do, there's risk involved. When I saw the elderly man, I began to think about the consequences of giving him advice that might not be suitable for his situation. Every case is different, and I would feel accountable if he ended up following my advice and it didn't work out. I could tell he wasn't a natural entrepreneur, and it wasn't just because he wasn't young. I knew I needed to be careful with my words and advice in order to ensure that I wasn't leading him astray. I'm a cautious optimist, but the cautious part comes first. I have recommended that people start their own businesses when the situation warrants it. I've seen their work ethic, their drive, their passions, and their tenacity, and I know they've got what it takes. Some people think they have it, but they don't. The people I have advised to go into business for themselves have all succeeded, but I haven't told every person to do it. Just recently I advised a young woman in real estate to start her own business, and without hesitation she did it the very next day. Kim Mogul is now a very successful business owner in New York City, and she often talks about how she got her start. She wasted no time in taking the plunge, and I'm proud to have been a part of her journey. I knew someone who was in the wrong profession for them, and it was evident that it was not going well for them. I told them that they were beginning to look like a failure and that they weren't good at it. When I asked them what they enjoyed doing, they answered that they liked golf. After a few years of convincing, they finally made the switch and started their own golf business. They have been very successful and very happy with the change. These two examples show that 1. You have to be good at what you're doing. 2. You have to have the courage to take the leap and go for it yourself. Everyone follows a different timeline, but the will to succeed and work hard must be present. I always advise people that being an entrepreneur is a solo journey where you have to rely on yourself for a certain period of time. And sometimes this can take a long time. Robert did not become successful overnight, but he kept working and learning. And now look at where he is. If you have the drive and determination, I can assure you that it is worth it. The joy of owning something does not need to be explained. It probably began with our first bicycle. When something is yours, you are more inclined to make sure it works properly. I personally have my name on a lot of things, which means I am personally responsible for making sure that it meets the highest standards of quality. These are the standards that I strive to reach in all aspects of my life and business. Having your own business has a unique kind of integrity and purpose that is hard to attain any other way. People often comment on certain employees they meet, saying it seems like they are running their own business. They work with such focus and dedication that it appears like they are the owners. To have your own business, you must be able to focus and be dedicated to your work, with no limits to the number of hours you put in. It can be a 24/7 job, and the responsibility ultimately rests on you. Taking on the responsibility of owning and running a business can be incredibly empowering. Rather than feeling drained by the pressure, it gives me energy and drive. For those who may not find this to be a pleasant experience, I recommend staying an employee. The benefits of having your own business are clear and tangible, and it is difficult to go back to working for someone else once you've tasted the freedom of self-ownership. It can be a great motivator to work even harder and remain in charge of your own destiny. You can say each and every day, "The buck starts with me, now, here, today." It's a great feeling. Having your own business is like growing a tree. It's a living organism that goes through seasons and storms and beautiful summer days and winter blizzards. But it keeps on growing and is literally an expression of yourself. That's one reason I'm so careful with the quality controls of what I do. If something represents you, you want it to be the best representation you can possibly find or achieve. Then you can even raise the bar on yourself, and believe me, you will never be bored. That's another great thing about having your own business. If you are bored, you will have no one to blame but yourself, and that situation won't last long. Some occupations can be tedious and you may feel the need to move on from them. When you own your own business, you have the autonomy to make the decisions, which means more freedom. Freedom is a double-edged sword, however, as it involves paying the price of working longer hours than if you were an employee. I have never heard an entrepreneur say they would prefer to be working for someone else. We have all heard about the importance of self-expression, especially when it comes to art or the arts. The same is true for business, which can be seen as an art form. Many of the same principles apply, such as discipline, technique, and perseverance. But it is the freedom of expression that makes being a business owner especially rewarding. If I have a vision of what I want to accomplish, I can make it happen. I don't need to seek anyone's approval, and I have the power to make it happen. This is an amazing feeling, of course, while still abiding by the regulations and laws of the area. People feel inspired for a reason. Inspiration is a motivator. Frustration occurs when their inspiration is not attended to. If you have the inspiration and are able to combine it with diligence and focus, I would advise you to think about owning your own business. The rewards are greater, and the old saying, "You will reap what you sow," rings true again. And you will be reaping it. A good thing to think about. You will reap what you sow rings true again. And you will be reaping it. A good thing to think about. Donald Trump.